Corviale Master Plan: Objectives, Methodologies, Building Sites and Activities.
Index. Page 3. Methodological Approach. Page 5. Organization and Building Sites. Page 6. Master Plan Governance. Page 9. Master Plan Communication. Page 10. Building Interventions and Energy Efficiency. Page 18. Security. Page 21. Environment. Page 27. Sociocultural Interventions. Page 35. Mobility and Connectivity. Page 39. Projects. Page 41. The International Project Regenerating Corviale. Page 49. Fourth Plan Corviale. Corviale Master Plan has born within a long work related to the neighborhood. It has the ambition to collect within a unique document all the topics related to its regeneration. It is the product of a work which has been carried on by the Lazio region, Ater Roma, Corviale Domani, and dozens of cultural, social, and civic organizations, universities, and research centers, all of which are active in the neighborhood and are careful to the stimulus prompted by the Lazio region through its many projects about the redevelopment of the Serpentone and its surroundings. With a document proposed by the Lazio region, Ater and Corviale Domani as a basis, about 70 organizations have signed a Memorandum of Understanding and participated to the works to redact the master plan, a naturally dynamic instrument subjected to a constant monitoring and updating. For each building site, the following items have been identified: costs, financial sources, realization timing, complexity of execution, responsible of the activity through an explanatory dashboard. Corviale's redevelopment, organizations and work sites. Building sites. First step, construction projects, which is an ongoing work. Redevelopment of the fourth floor Green Mile Studio T, Salimei. Remediation of abuses in the basement. New international contest. Corviale's regeneration, RTP Laura Peretti. Redevelopment of 5 communal rooms. Second step, energy efficiency. Vivi Meglio X project, landscaped roof, insulating buildings, thermal coat and fixturing, consumption rationalizations and recovery of the hydraulic system, fourth floor Green Mile and 5 stairs lighting. These steps are part of the project proposal. Step 3. Safety. Basement securing. Intrusion protection and surveillance system installation. Territorial medical care. Fourth step. Environment. Environmental monitoring systems. Arboreal increase. Eco park. Environmental and farming activities. 0 kilometer. Development of the area. These steps are part of the public consultation. Fifth step. Sociocultural activities. Ground floor porches redevelopment. Business premises redevelopment. Urban community. Social assistance. Training courses. Cultural activities. Sixth step. Mobility, connectivity and digitalization. Wi-Fi, service management app, alternative forms of mobility development, electric vehicles charging points. These steps are part of the setting up of operations. Master Plan Governance 1/3. The basis for the Master Plan is a consideration which actually represents its starting point, both in its design phase and maybe even more in its following managing of territorial activities and service phase. The topic of the correct and efficient governance of these processes becomes strong. The lack of this, or its inefficiency, risks to jeopardize its attended results and potentially could make this work less powerful in its impact on urban quality and citizens' life. Without arguing about the complete state control of this process, energies and competences from the territory which made themselves available to regenerate Corviale can acquire a main role in managing the change. We remind in this sense the law proposal Disciplina del Terzo Settore, adopted by the regional junta, which on Article 11 defines forms and objects of co-designing. It's about getting out of the logic which sees public functions work only through the assignment of works and activities through contracts, and orient the actions towards a major variety of intervention methods, integrating them within a shared vision, interventions of the different branches of public administrations, politics on housing, social support, security, environmental managing and remediation, education and professional training, job placement, etc. And in the meantime, developing actions able to involve territorial organizations, both experimenting operating methods, such as the patti di collaborazione, and weaving relations with firms and economic subjects rooted in this context. Besides the services conferences as properly intended and expected by the law, it is also planned the creation of a mission operative group, which, remaining solidly anchored to the pertinent administration, will comply the regeneration interventions with operative and managing tasks, which will be explicit since the beginning. In fact, a regeneration program relies on a wide range of projects, each one with a different timing, with some actions probably already contracted, and others waiting for approval, others to be projected, others to be thought, as in the case of this master plan. This element reinforces the necessity of a coordination which should belong to the people who follow the regeneration process from the beginning to the end and not only to the single project. It will be then institute a support group which will follow the updates, the monitoring of the territory and social animation, constituted by people with adequate competencies, both technical and social. In this sense, it is believed that the universities which have signed the memorandum could be very important partners to achieve success with regenerating Corviale. Finally, the most collective level will be the one of a permanent forum formed by the territorial organization, by the trade and productive unions interested in the regeneration process, which will be periodically convocated to discuss the ongoing of the process and to evaluate the concrete consequences of each action on citizens' life and on the neighborhood. Master Plan Governance 3/3. To have all the instruments implemented through the realization of the master plan be able to deploy full efficacy and be adequate to the requests, it will be shortly developed an update of the knowledges regarding the social compositions of the neighborhood and the needs expressed by the citizens. The construction of a confidence with residents appears in fact as an irrevocable element, as well as necessary for the success of the entire operation of regenerating Corviale. At the same time, it will be realized the recognition of the socio-sanitary services in proximity, the connection with the zone special plan, to individuate the critical points related to the needs of fragile residents in Corviale. Internal communication as a functional and normative role. Utilities as information on vaccines plan, and other and seed information. Area events, new openings, and all the services which will be managed by the urban community cooperative could be developed. The communication project will have the objective to be able to satisfy the various targets inside the other building as well as in its area of reference. The external communication to the neighborhood, to the city and to the country will need a great effort in individuating words and concepts related to the regeneration process, while putting on the proper relevance the fundamental and irrevocable role of local communities and inhabitants. Building interventions and energetic efficiency 1/5. Projects inserted in these two thematic fields of the master plan have to be considered as leading axes. The physical element of the regeneration has in fact important consequences on every other field: social, cultural, environmental, etc. There are projects already on realization, as the requalification of the 4th floor, the so-called Green Kilometer Salimei project, the garage cleaning, the tree planting in the green areas. Moreover, there is the service conference relative to the first draft of the project Regenerating Corviale by Laura Peretti, which is in particular focused on the verticalization of the building, which increases the entrances from 5 to 27. Within the master plan, this project can be considered as the general point of reference around which it could be constructed all the urban regenerations of the area. It should be also reminded the project, with the value of 35 million euro, about the energetic efficiency of the building, the realization of the thermal coat, new fixtures, a new hydrodistribution system for homes which remediates the dispersion of such a precious element as water, and the green roof. This project could see the light in 2022. Another element strictly linked to the physical regeneration is the one regarding ATER and its functions. ATER is the managing entity, therefore is the main protagonist of the building requalification interventions. It is increasingly assuming a wide social management of everything related to the buildings and what happens inside them. In this sense, these functions will be structured at their best, also in relation to the city administration work. Building interventions and energetic efficiency, 2/5. Another element strictly linked to the physical regeneration is the one regarding ATER and its functions. ATER is the managing entity, therefore is the main protagonist of the building requalification interventions. It is increasingly assuming a wide social management of everything related to the buildings and what happens inside them. In this sense, these functions will be structured at their best, also in relation to the city administration work. A fundamental project within the master plan is the one on the fragmentations of homes, which is considered necessary, as well as in the rest of the city, to meet the contemporary reality of families, often composed by one or more members, for which very big lodging are not really needed. The drop in average composition of families have caused the halving of the people initially assumed to live in Corviale. Now there are approximately 3,800 inhabitants. Another project is the one about the requalification of the porches on the ground floor, with the addition of innovative activities, environs and support shared with the community and the firms. A project which is fully inserted in the master plan regarding the complete efficiency, the energetic one, but not only this one, is the realization of a technical and organizational system which allows to have a unique direction cabinet for all energetic systems related to the building, an element which will be coordinated with the multiple nature of the suppliers and network managers. Building interventions and energetic efficiency, 3/5. Extraordinary maintenance of city administration competence will involve also the Centro Campanella, which is frequented the Nicolini Library, the Time Bank, the Professional Training Center and the Refreshment Point, frequented by the citizens not only from Corviale, the youth in particular. The end of works in the Mazzacurati School and its theatre will give more impulse to the cultural development. Another project which competes to the city administration, which is described in detail in the environmental slides, is the one about the green place between Corviale and the building on Poggio Verde Road, which will be set up as a place for children as the European ones. The interment of the electrical line will leave the two existing trellis, which will be arranged for free climbing, becoming another symbol of regenerating Corviale. At the same time, the mail office, now in a narrow road deprived of parking lots, will be moved to a better place, taking advantage of the spaces which will be freed thanks to the regeneration. Then there is the Pala Corviale, the sport palace financed by the Sport and Periferie Fund, Law 9/2016, by 5 million euro. Presented by CONI, the palace has been projected as polyvalent, with unmovable tribunes equipped for sport and cultural activities. The area, after the construction had started, has been abandoned and there is a territorial dispute to overcome the impasse. Also, the recovery and remediation of the nursery and elementary school Mazzacurati and the realization of another nursery for 60 children are planned. These projects are part of the ones which Roma Capitale should have realized but didn't. Building interventions and energetic efficiency, 4/5. Services for domestic partnerships. In the present and in the following future, we will see forms of hybrid residence, with domestic partnerships not necessarily belonging to the same family nucleus as traditionally intended. It's the case of co-housing or solidarity domestic partnership, a figure recently included in the regional legislative set of rules. In this sense, the requalification interventions planned on the building will have to consider the need to create communal spaces, lavatories, kitchens, to serve the apartments related to these figures. Moreover, to avoid the presence of singular social ranges, also social housing will be introduced. Another important aspect will be to guarantee the connection of the building with the surrounding territory, both in pedestrian terms and empowering the public transport system on surface. A different treatment has to be applied on abuses. Whenever they consist in the presence of people living inside the apartments without right, in abusive realizations of apartments inside the communal areas, or simply abusive connections to water and light or presence of gas tanks inside the palace, they represent an enormous obstacle to regenerate the building, to improve life quality of residents and a different representation of Corviale. A strong and decided action will be led, together with the restructuring of the building, to progressively eliminate the abuses and guarantee the rights of residents. In this way, the greatest attention will be put in individuating really critical situations, which will be separated from the totally illegal ones and sustained in strong synergy with territorial social services. Building interventions and energetic efficiency 5/5. As regards the managing methods of the Regenerating Corviale program, periodical meetings between residents, representatives of organizations which signed the Memorandum of Understanding, and others will be scheduled, so that together we'll verify the state of ordinary maintenance of the whole building and the development of the regeneration program, and to guarantee a constant channel of communication, which is indispensable to reduce malfunctions to the minimum and to create and maintain that confidence relationship which has been addressed as a priority element to achieve success through the scheduled interventions. In this sense, the cooperative of community which is being constituted will operate as planned by the Regional Law No. 1 March 3, 2021 as the principal subject which involves the local community in managing communal goods and services, and also through the agreements which will be signed with the region, as intended by Article 8 of the same law. Building sites, activities in detail, building interventions 1/2. Building interventions. Activity. A. First accept realization of the ground attack, won by RTP Laura Peretti. Description. Realization of 9/27 new entrances on a reduced scale. Remodulation of public spaces to create more sociality and avoid decay. Example, New Poggio Verde Road and New Square. Reset of ground attack with artisans' laboratories and ateliers. Permeability and connections within all the context in front of and behind the building. Cost in millions euro, 11.7. Financing, Lazio region. Time, January 25, 2021. Simultaneous service conferences between region, City of Rome, MIBACT and ACEA. Subsequent activities. Tender starts within 2021. Complexity, high. Responsible, Ater Roma. Activity, B. Completing interventions on new accommodations on 4th floor, already ongoing. Description. Realization of 103 accommodations on Corviale's flea floor, occupied by 130 families. 10 phases with the move of 500 people in each phase until its completion. Cost in millions, 10.6. Of which MIT 1.5, Lazio region 9.1. Financing, MIT Lazio region. Time, in 2020, number 21 accommodations. On April, assignation of 30 accommodations. Complexity, high. Responsible, Ater Roma. Activity, C. Remediation of 5 condominium rooms. Part of draft Peretti project. Description. Intervention to secure and recuperate condominium rooms, freed meanwhile the works on the 4th floor keep going on. Cost in millions euro, still on estimate, part of additional act for 4th floor. Financing, Lazio region. Time, works will start on June 21. Complexity high. Responsible Ater Roma. Building sites. Activities in detail. Building interventions 2/2. Activity D. Rearrangement, remediation of the basement. Descriptions: abuses demolition and garage remediation with the help of the project Mi Riscatto per il Futuro with DAP. Cost in millions euro 0.04. Financing Ater Roma. Time: works starts in April 2021. Complexity high. Responsible DAP, Lazio region, Ater Roma. Activity E. Completion of second excerpt RTP Laura Peretti project. Description: 18 new entrances. Public building in place. Public and green spaces on Poggio Verde Road and behind on Ferrari Road. Cost in millions euro on evaluation. Financing Lazio region, Ater Roma. Time: definitive projecting second excerpt. Complexity high. Responsible Ater Roma, Lazio region. Activity F. Lodging fragmentation. Description: start of the projecting of a fragmentation program of greater lodging to adequate their dimensions to the request of families composed by a number of people inferior in respect to the moment of the birth of the building. Cost in millions euro on evaluation. Financing Ater Roma. Time: preliminary projecting starts in the second half of 2021. Complexity high. Responsible Ater Roma. Activity G. Recovery of abandoned lavatory. Description: to have a diversified utilization for the various activities scheduled in the Regenerating Corviale project. Financing Ater Roma.
Building sites. Activities in detail. Energy efficiency. Activity A. Project Vivimelio Enel X. Cost in millions 35. Financing project financing super bonus 110%. Time works starting December 2021. Complexity high. Responsible PPP. Description A1. Installation of buildings with the involvement of ESCO, energy saving companies. Cost in millions euro in phase of definition. Financing project financing. Time December 2021. Complexity high. Responsible PPP. Description A2. Realization of a green roof with both climatic and environmental functions and the realization of an aromatic didactic garden. Cost in phase of definition. Financing project financing. Time December 2021. Complexity high. Responsible PPP. Description A3. Realization of hydric consumptions and remediation of hydric system. Cost in phase of definition. Financing project financing. Time December 2021. Complexity high. Responsible PPP. Activity B. Requalification fourth floor. Description: photovoltaic installations covering condominium usage. Cost in millions euro 0.8. Financing MIMS Lazio region. Time during the contract. Complexity almost top of the high. Responsible Ater Roma. Activity C. Illumination of fourth floor and of 5 ladder bodies. Description: illumination of fourth floor, green kilometer, and of 5 ladder bodies. Cost in phase of definition. Financing Ater Roma. Time in phase of definition. Complexity almost top of the highest. Responsible Ater Roma.
Security. On the topic of security as properly intended, it is considered fundamental to complete the process already started through the interlocution with many institutional levels, so to make Corviale a place of public security. Securing the basement and the removal of abuses will go ahead together with the reinstatement of fire-resistant systems and the installation of video surveillance systems in garages. It is worth, moreover, to pay attention on the initiatives developed with the involvement of Penitentiary Administration Department, DAP, inserted in the chapter about building interventions and energetic efficiency. Building sites, activities in detail, security 1/2. Activity A. Securing the basement. Description: reinstatement of fire resistance presidiums hoses and fire extinguishers, and removal of abuses, railings, boxes, etc. Cost in millions euro, 1. Financing, other funds. Time, project phase ongoing. Complexity, high. Responsible, Ater Roma. Activity, B. Installation of anti-intrusion, security and vigilance systems. Description. Installation of cameras to control principal accesses to the building, super ladders, and garages. Cost in millions euro, 0.2. Financing, other funds. Time, project phase ongoing. Complexity, high. Responsible, Ater Roma. Building sites. Activities in detail. Security, 2/2. Activity, C. Legality and security. Description. To reactivate legality and security on services and improper usage of public assets as illegal connection of energy, heating, hydro facilities, condominium services, external areas. Complexity, high. Responsible, Corviale Domani, Rome Prefecture, Lazio Region, Rome City. Activity D. Reinforce assistance. Description. Starting the transfer of the communal pharmacy with the objective of integrating it with territorial sanitary policies as for post-COVID-19 directives and putting it on as first front office. Complexity high. Responsible, Corviale Domani, Lazio Region, Rome City. Environment 1/3. The Corviale area has been inserted by the Lazio region and Ater Roma between the areas in which it will be developed the second phase of Oxygen project, the one through which the region intends to plant 6 million trees on its territory. Moreover, considering the big availability of green spaces around the real estate, with about 1,400 trees, where many of these represent an important part of public property, it appears as a useful and possible objective the one to direct political and administrative choices in direction of a growth of nursery and agricultural vocation, moving toward the European strategy Farm to Fork. This has to be related with the reactivation of the agricultural and urban landscape, where real agriculture should be performed. Selling of products might be done in Poggio Verde Square. In this context, the involvement of Roma Natura will be important. The power line will be buried, and the pillar will be transformed in a tower which will characterize the neighborhood and can be used for activities as acrobatic climbs and bungee jumping. It has also been scheduled the recovery of the former market building and its transformation in eco park, bike shop, reusage center, recycle and reparation, farm lab on the kilometer zero, artisanal mini laboratories and reparation, regeneration and valorization laboratories, in the perspective of 4R: reuse, recycle, recuperate, repair. This project has also been inserted in the chapter about sociocultural interventions. Environment 2/3. A project which involves both the field of mobility and the one of environmental sustainability is the one about the structuring of a cycling network. What already exists will be enhanced and interconnected, so to reach the main infrastructures for mobility and the environmental ones, as for instance Villa Pamphili. With the support of the community cooperative, it will also be possible to have the effective and direct involvement of citizens in managing the territory. Specifically, as regards green areas, which represent a great richness for the neighborhood and for the entire city, it is intended to create team gardens cared by the same citizens through the community cooperative. In the field of a project that Ater is starting in the city of Rome, the Corviale buildings could be the place for experimenting community composting. Given the dimension of the building and of available spaces, the project has enormous potentialities both for the reduction of garbage and to create a wide consciousness about the circular relevance of what is thrown away. In this sense, Corviale will be a pilot project for Rome. It will be deepened with AMA, the chance to host here the Municipal Collection Center, which can become a place of learning and occasion of culture, work and environmental education. Moreover, urban and social vegetable gardens will be realized. Environment 3/3. A project of an extraordinary relevance will be the Green Roof One, the Rooftop Lab. This denomination has a scientific and symbolic meaning in general, as a place of compensation of the land covered by the buildings as a multiplier of artificial soils. It will be a preferential place of interface with the external side of the building and with the interior of all the homes and the inhabitants. Example, ladders, elevators. It will be a place to elaborate and demonstrate the new pact with nature. It is also intended that a plan about the environmental infrastructure should be conducted on an area basis, involving Tenuta dei Massimi, Valle dei Casali, Trullo, Magliana Vecchia, to coordinate actions of managing and caring about green lands to potentiate the ecological network. To put in relation the park network is an essential objective, as it is to coordinate the management at its best. Environmental sustainability will have a strict relation with the socio-economic one, and this represents one of the greater challenges to regenerate Corviale. Also, as regards the environmental aspect, the rethinking of systems and infrastructure of hydroelectric and gas adduction is a real necessity. The understanding at the basis of the master plan, which will be experimented in its various articulations, is the one of a participated project, which will not be a simple sharing of knowledges. It will be used a coordinated management with the subjects which will manage different parts of projects and consequently of activities. This will involve in particular the management of the different soils, which can't be abandoned to themselves because of the breaches of recipients. Building sites. Activities in detail. Environment. 1/2. Activity A. Emissions plan. PM10 and CO2 reduction through the absorptions of new arboreal essences. Description. To increase the total arboreal mass with mitigation effects and the climatic adaptation. In the field of the Urban Green Plan, Law 10/2013. See Progetto Ossigeno. Cost in millions euro on evaluation, from €500 to €1,500 according to the arboreal essence. Financing, region, Ater Roma. Time, on definition phase. Complexity, medium. Responsible, Lazio region, Ater Roma. Activity B. Ecopark, Center for Reuse, Reparation, Recycle, Recuperation, Realization Green Roof, Rooftop Lab. Description. Communal composting activity to be realized in the local farm. Reconstruction of covered surface with the realization of a green roof. Complexity. Almost top of the hike. Responsible, Lazio region, Rome City, Corviale Domani. Activity C. Valorization of territorial agriculture activities and promotion of kilometer zero consumption. Description. Constitution of an agricultural vivaistic farm in a cooperative form related to the youth in the area, on the land acquired within Article 11, reopening of the covered market, promotional space, selling of fruit and vegetable and foodstuff at kilometer zero. Complexity medium. Responsible, Corviale Domani.
Building sites, activities in detail, environment, 2/2. Activity D. Casa dei Parchi. Description. Co-design of green square between Corviale and buildings on Poggio Verde Road. Intervention planned on the grounds of Article 11. Realization of a public square covered with tensile structure around Corviale. Linked to Casa dei Parchi is D1. OP 14. To equip Casa dei Parchi di Roma Natura, which goes around the Corviale area. Tenuta dei Massimis Natural Reserve and Casa dei Massimis Natural Reserve, for a total of 1,350 hectares, with the only forest inside Rome's Ring Road. Cost in million of Casa dei Parchi and OP14 around €7,000. Financing for Casa dei Parchi, public and private, for OP14, private. Complexity. Both Casa dei Parchi and OP14, medium. Responsible. For Casa dei Parchi, Rome City, Corviale Domani, Lazio Region and Roma Natura. for OP14 Rome City. D2 OP7A, burial of power lines between the Corviale building and Pelago Street, cost in millions euro, 7,050 euros, financing Terna, complexity medium, responsible Rome City. D3 OP27, description, acquisition of the area near PDZ number 61 Corviale, cost 650,000 euros, financing private, complexity medium, responsible Rome City. Activity D4 OP27A, description, acquisition and restructuring of the agricultural manufacturing near PDZ number 61 Corviale, cost 650,000 euros, financing private, complexity medium, responsible Rome City. Activity D5 OP28, description, realization of urban vegetable gardens in Corviale, cost 650,000 euros, financing Rome City, complexity medium, responsible Rome City.
Sociocultural interventions 1/4. The objective is to develop potentialities in the cultural component for the development of Corviale's territory, its area and the city in terms of participation, accessibility, sustainability. We want to develop the knowledge of material and immaterial cultural heritage and its integrations with its natural environment and its relationship with city life. This will also work as an offer of original cultural production, which can put residents in a condition in which they can interact inside and outside the area, in connection with the ongoing regeneration and with main interventions of requalification of building heritage and landscape. The objective is to potentiate and enforce experiences which are founded on immaterial culture, knowledge and storytelling, as well as animation as on direct participation of the community The objective is to potentiate and enforce experiences which are founded on immaterial culture, knowledge and storytelling, as well as on animation and on direct participation of the community to cultural life and daily exchange between people. The role of communication and digital instrumentation will be relevant. It will be able to offer elements about the attractivity of the territory, history, archaeology, contemporary art as cultural places, street art. Improve inhabitants' knowledge and let interactions between citizens and people outside the city grow, to fully valorize their potentialities in a renewed cultural offer. Sociocultural interventions 2/4. Community cooperative, the leading element of the strategy related to the regeneration of the neighborhood, in particular referred to the social, cultural, environmental and security aspects, is represented by the community cooperative, which territorial and civic organization will establish according to the Regional Law 1/2021. The communal urban cooperative has the objective of reaching a mutual development and public well-being, not profit. In the statute, the corporate purpose enlightens these directions, favoring answers to ideas, needs and proposals, the reinforcement of commitments and social bonds, and creation of entrepreneurial chances. Reinforcement of territorial sanitary system. Social and sanitary assistance systems will be set up for the elderly in domestic forms, also as an accompaniment in the phase of the reassignation of homes. Sociocultural interventions 3/4. Collaboration with all institutional levels will have to be maximum. It is in fact clear that Lazio region has the major responsibility on the topic of requalification of the building. But then, for instance, the area social plan is being restructured by Roma Capitale and Municipio Roma 11. In this sense, the formation of an adequate outline about social and sanitary services on the territory of reference appears fundamental for a correct programming and to connect this to the requalification interventions on buildings. Among the projects highlighted in the master plan, there is the one proposed by Federconsumatori and Lazio Region, Productive Activities Department, a bistro which offers rescued foodstuffs. This represents another development related to food donation, as it provokes a virtuous circle inside a possible circular economy. Another ambitious objective is the one about the development of an app which puts all services in network, both public ones and the ones brought by territorial organizations. This project will be deepened in the chapter related to connectivity. The role of culture will be fundamental to guarantee cohesion and security. To develop these activities, a strong collaboration with the local institutions closest to the territory will be needed. Programming will be widely comprehensive and will have constancy. It will not be limited to spot events, which cannot produce that sense of community which is one of the objectives to reach. Sociocultural interventions 4/4. Activities will also concern training for residents. The certificate system used to enjoy paying cultural and training activities seems to be the one which can directly bring residents to perform these activities. Corviale can also count on a place already active which represents an enormous richness for the territory, which is the Mitreo, Center for Arts and Contemporary Culture, which will constitute the propulsive center for cultural growth and social cohesion in the neighborhood. It is also rightful to remember how cultural presides are important in terms of security, as in the case of Nest in Naples. Another leading axis as regards social cohesion is the one about sporting activities and structures. Finally, one of the great objectives will be the empowerment of population and the construction of a sense of belonging to the community. A physical place will be identified. Here, citizens will be able to meet and periodically interact with other and regional, municipal and city institutions. To this scope, the headquarters provided by the community cooperative will be used. In this sense, the programming of trainings to acquire specific competencies related to the innovative planned action is scheduled. Consciousness, knowledge, and continuing training are constituent for achieve success for the innovative project Regenerating Corviale. Eco Park, energetic community, polyvalent center with ateliers and 4R, Internet of Things, territorial sanitary policies, Pala Corviale, recovery of Corviale incubator, the managing of condominium services represent chances for future work opportunities and social redemption. Building sites, activities in detail, sociocultural interventions 1/5. Activity A. Interventions on remediation of communal spaces on ground floor. Description: requalification of porches on ground floor as well as locals and areas on garage floor through the remotion of household goods and abandoned vehicles. Cost in millions euro on estimation. Financing other funds. Time ongoing. Complexity almost top of the hike. Responsible Ater Roma. Activity B. Interventions on remediation of business premises to be assigned to new intended uses. Description: requalification of business premises to be assigned to new intended uses. Cost in millions euro on estimation. Financing other funds. Time ongoing. Complexity almost top of the hike. Responsible Ater Roma, Corviale, Domani. Building sites. Activities in detail. Sociocultural interventions 2/5. Activity C. Constitution of a social cooperative community. Description: the communal urban cooperative has the objective of reaching a mutual development and public well-being, not profit. In the statute, the corporate purpose enlightens these directions, favoring answers to ideas, needs and proposals, the reinforcement of commitments and social bonds, and creation of entrepreneurial chances. Complexity almost lowest of the low. Responsible Corviale Domani, Ater. Activity D. Requalification of purchase on ground floor. Description: adoption of innovative activities, vicinity and support shared with the community and firms as planned by the Peretti project to define available spaces and their destination. Complexity almost lowest of the low. Responsible Corviale Domani, Ater. Activity E. Reinforcement of the sanitary system as for COVID-19 directives. Description: adoption of innovative activities, vicinity and support shared with the community and firms as planned by the Peretti project to define available spaces and their destination. Complexity medium. Responsible Corviale Domani, Lazio region. Building sites, activities in detail, sociocultural interventions 3/5. Activity F. Trainings to acquire specific competencies related to the innovative planned actions. Description: consciousness, knowledge, and continuing training are constituent to achieve success for the innovative project Regenerating Corviale. Eco Park, energetic community, polyvalent center with ateliers and 4R, Internet of Things, territorial sanitary policies, Pala Corviale, recovery of Corviale incubator, the managing of condominium services represent chances for future work opportunities and social redemptions. Financing. Different funds depending on the kind of activity. Time. Timing will be defined according to the interventions. Complexity, high. Responsible, Corviale Domani, Ater, Lazio region, Rome City, universities and research centers. Activity G. Centrality and attention to the ongoing public-private activities which are interrelated with the development of Corviale area, which with their presence preside and develop the territory. Description. The development of Corviale area has been possible thanks to a continuing partnership, public-private, which have presided the territory with social, cultural and sporting activities. A value and a model Mitreo to sustain for future developments as foreseen by Regenerating Corviale, a real path for a participated co-design. Financing. Different funds depending on the kind of activity. Time. Timing will be defined according to the interventions. Complexity almost top of the high. Responsible, Lazio Region, Ater, Rome City, Corviale Domani. Building sites. Activities in detail. Sociocultural interventions. 4/5. Activity. H. Extraordinary maintenance. Description. Extraordinary maintenance of city administration's competence will involve also the Centro Campanella with its frequented Nicolini Library, the Time Bank, the Professional Training Center and the Refreshment Point, frequented by the citizens not only from Corviale, the youth in particular. The end of works in the Mazzacurati School and its theatre will give more impulse to the cultural development. Complexity medium. Responsible Rome City. Activity. I. Green Square. A green square between Corviale and residential building on Poggio Verde Street. It will have to be a place suited for children as the European ones through the burial of the electric line, with the conservation of 2 existing pylons, which will be arranged for free climbing, becoming another symbol for regenerating Corviale. We will ask to move the post office relegated in a narrow street without parking lots on Casetta Mattei Road. Complexity medium. Responsible Rome City, Corviale Domani. Activity. L. School and community. School system in the area is quantitatively important. With a memorandum of understanding, we will, together with institutions, resume a path knowing that, beside listening, there will be shared answers. Complexity medium. Responsible Corviale Domani, Rome City, School Autonomies System. Building sites, activities in detail, sociocultural interventions, 5/5. Activity. M. Bistro. Description. Realization of an administration structure with recovered food to foster a circular economy and to create new opportunities for the area, respecting and valorizing existing activities. Complexity medium. Responsible Federconsumatori Lazio Region. Activity N. Community app. Description. Development of a community app which puts all services in network, both public ones and the ones offered by territorial activities. Complexity medium. Responsible Corviale Domani. Activity O. Residents empowerment. Description. Realization of training courses to acquire specific competencies related to the innovative actions planned in the master plan. Program for cultural, sporting, environmental training activities addressed to residents. Responsible Corviale Domani, Cultural and Sporting Territorial Organization. Mobility and connectivity 1/2. Shortly, the works to cable Corviale building with optical fiber will begin. This represents a fundamental element to fill the digital divide which hurts less wealthy social groups. This also implies the need to activate an adequate training addressed to citizens related to the usage of digital services. The availability of large band consents also the design of a series of services able to allow a quantum leap for the building and therefore to residents' life. For instance, sensors useful to send and receive information and automatic services, together with a progressive implementation of domotics instruments, both in the stable and in singular living units, which will be performed starting from fractioning bigger homes. We also propose the development of a dedicated app, a web app which will work on every browser, desktop or mobile device to host a wide group of activities, which can offer instruments to the community to support local economy sustainability. The app will allow to transfer and distribute valuable goods and services instantaneously and without intermediaries to the community. Examples of activities implementable and manageable through its channels are Time Bank, Alimentary Bank, Things Library, Energetic Detection, Cafe Repair, Mobility Sharing, Access Rights, Purchase Groups, Digital Craftsmanship, Digital Market, Support to Well-being, Teleassistance and Telemedicine. The app, besides these and others material services, will also serve as a vehicle for sociality, community, well-being. For instance, supporting continuing training, discussions groups, a book, library, disco newspaper library, group games, community newspaper, web radio, Senoforum. Mobility and connectivity 2/2. It will be established an activity addressed to overcome accessibility problems, particularly the lack of direct connections between the neighborhood and the TPL rail stops, Bonelli and Magliana Vecchia. The deficit which will be addressed regards pedestrian links, both cyclable ones and the ones related to public transport. As regards the problem related to pedestrian links, the current impossibility to easily reach Caseta Matei's commercial center from the palace will be solved. While projecting external spaces, equipped linear spaces will be identified. They will be available to favor individual pedestrian mobility. A fundamental foreseeing point is the extension of car sharing and bike sharing services to Corviale, as well as the creation of the infrastructure needed to charge electric vehicles, cars, motorbikes, scooters, in which regard the community cooperative will have an important role presiding them and making them accessible to citizens. Building sites, activities in detail, mobility, connectivity and digitalization 1/2. Activity A. Promoting alternative ways of mobility, electric bikes and scooters, car sharing with electric cars. Description. Inside the condominium car sharing there will be contract subscriptions for rental of fully electric cars, bikes, scooters. Cost in millions euro based on duration and number of vehicles. Financing. Program Agreement, Article 17 Septis, Paragraph 5 of Law 134/2012 and Article 2 DPCM, 18 April 2016. Time, in phase of definition. Complexity, almost lowest of the law. Responsible, Lazio Region, Ater Roma, Corviale Domani. Activity, B. Installation of electric cars chargers to foster private and sustainable mobility. Description. Inside the condominium car sharing installation of charger stations for fully electric cars, bikes, scooters. Cost in millions euro, unity cost 10,000 euros. Financing. Program Agreement, Article 17 Septis, Paragraph 5 of Law 134/2012 and Article 2 DPCM, 18 April 2016. Time in phase of definition. Complexity almost lowest of the law. Responsible, Lazio Region, Ater, Roma. Activity, C. Realization of a Wi-Fi area. Description. Realization of an infrastructure and data network at high speed, as well as the usage of existing infrastructures to consent the installation of the optical fiber. Cost in millions euro in phase of definition. Financing, European and regional funds. Time, works starting 2021. Complexity, almost top of the hike. Responsible, Ater Roma, Oper Fiber. Building sites, activities in detail, mobility, connectivity and digitalization 2/2. Activity, D. Support to cyclable network. Description, bike shop and bike rental, see covered market. Complexity, medium. Responsible, Corviale Domani. Activity, E. Realization of a cyclable network and its integration inside Discipline app with a reconnection to the closest cyclable territorial corridors. Description, cyclability plan implementation through Valle dei Casali and Tenuta Massimi, connections with other itineraries. Portuense, Magliana Fiumicino. Cost in millions euro, 2 millions. Financing, public. Time, maximum 2 years. Complexity, medium. Responsible, Mobility Department, City of Rome, Corviale Domani. Activity, F. Logistics, good distribution and delivery. Description, localization of pitches to load and discharge a remote controlled closet to deliver good. Activity, F. Logistics, good distribution and delivery. Description, localization of pitches to load and discharge a remote controlled closet to deliver goods, with QR code recognizing technology too. Cost in millions euro in agreement with firms. Financing private. Time short. Complexity almost lowest of the law. Responsible, municipal institution Ater, Corviale Domani. Activity, G. Agora project. Description, app which will welcome, orient and make easier the resolution of citizens' problems related to their condition of hard socioeconomic and sanitary situations. Objective, autonomous housing security or with the support of specific services collaborating with Citera using ICT platforms. Financing, Economic Development Ministry. Complexity almost highest of the high. Responsible, EGCI, Corviale Domani. Projects. Requalification projects for Corviale. 1. International project Regenerating Corviale. Description: Regenerating Corviale is an international design contest proclaimed and financed by Lazio region. Objective: to obtain a new and better urban quality in public and non-residential spaces, as well as a better livability and security inside the building along all the horizontal and vertical paths. Status in the last stages of design. Where are we? End of 2014. Lazio region authorizes ATER to use funds to call an international tender to design the urban regeneration of Corviale area. 2015, nomination of international jury and approval of the provisional ranking of the tender. 2016, official publication of the definitive ranking of the tender. Beginning of 2017, Lazio region deliberates to allocate the total amount of 11.8 million euro to realize the first excerpt of the intervention related to the winning project of the tender Regenerate Corviale. End of 2017, contract signed for definitive design services with RTP architect Laura Peretti. End of 2018, final project delivered. 2019, verification and validation of the final project. General agreement with Invitalia for the activation as a central client, integrated contract. 2020, prosecution of the verification and validation of the final project. Activation of simultaneous service conference. 2021, January 25, 2021, convocation of the simultaneous service conference. Project validation, activation of the integrated contract, European tender to entrust design and works. International project Regenerating Corviale. Regenerating Corviale is an international tender of design proclaimed in 2015 by ATER Roma and promoted and financed by Lazio region. The objective of the tender has been to collect and select design proposals to modify the communal spaces system of the principal body in the Corviale building, to obtain a new and better urban quality in public and non-residential spaces, as well as a better livability and security inside the building along all the horizontal and vertical paths. The tender has identified some main topics included in the first part of the wall interventions, which are Body 1 regeneration, accessibility and internal circulation, permeability of ground floor, new distribution, program for inhabitants' participation, new external routes and links with existing and foreseen public services. In the following pages, some images extracted from the winning project of the tender, redacted by Peretti and Partners Group.
International Design Contest Regenerating Corviale.
Critical issues relative to former business premises occupied and in a state of decay, for instance on Ferrari Road, replacement of locals allocating them to artisanal laboratories and artistic ateliers. The project, the new building entrances and vertical links. Instead of 5 entrances, people will be able to enter from 27 new atriums and elevators, directly from the level of the road, and all the space in front of the building will be diversified and recognizable. The project, pedestrian road and illumination system. On the left, the new pedestrian road, which reunites the atriums below the platform roof, is open and visible from the road, becoming more livable and secure. On the right, the new social light system will make more hospitable the arrival at home. The project, the new square. Square space is organized through 4 grid platforms on different levels, linked between them by steps and ramps, animated by new commercial, social and cultural activities, with green and paved spaces adapted to civil life. The project, crossing towards Ferrari's Road and the country. On top, the square subtracts also all barriers, walls and jumps in altitude, and it will be possible to arrive directly, while the existing bridge will be used in the park. Below, a public ramp will connect the city to the country. From Poggio Verde Road it will be possible to accede directly to the park behind the Corviale. Projects. Requalifications project for Corviale. 2. Corviale 4th floor. The interventions foresees the realization of 103 homes in the Corviale Free Plan, occupied by around 130 families since more than 20 years, and it will be realized in 10 phases, transferring during each one of them families currently living here, which are equivalent to 500 people. The execution of works will have to count on the presence of the current occupiers, so it is indispensable that the realization will be coordinated together with the necessary operations of moving families. For this reason, a time schedule for social accompaniment of families to be transferred has been defined, parallel and coordinated with the one of the works articulated in more phases. Corviale 4th floor, 2006. Agreement on a framework program for the interventions between Lazio region and infrastructure and transport system. Approval of the definitive project for a definitive financing amount equal to almost 6 million euros. 2008-2009. Publication of the tender and entrustment of the executive design to ATI ABCG SRL. Architect Salimei, Architect Contuzzi, Architect Fantilli. Joint Committee approves the executive project. Joint Committee approves the executive project. 2010. Effective census of the occupiers of the free floor. Assessor for Housing Policies invites ATER to suspend all current initiatives related to Corviale. 2013. Given the new political direction, there is an updating of the executive project to adequate costs, changes in laws, new necessary interventions given the decay. 2014. Lazio Regions decides to integrate a financing of 4,500,000 euros, determining of total amount of almost 10,500,000 euros. 2015. Court of Auditors requests relations about the neglected interventions. 2016. City of Rome approves the list of admitted subject to the special tender. 73 applications received. Executive project updating approved. Tender to entrust works published. 2017. Tender entrusted. 3 appeals presented to the TAR against the award. Technical reunions start in Rome Prefecture to manage problems found in the territory. 2019. Works starts. 2019. Temporary living solution to execute the works. TAR confirms the award. Contract is signed. Administrative procedures in families. 2019. Work starts. Program in 10 phases. Phase 0 ends in September with 9 homes assigned. Phase 1 starts. The firm stops the works. 2020. Building site is blocked due to contractual rescissions. Building site open again. July 2020. Works start again. December 2020, 8 homes are delivered. 2021, January 21, 4 homes are delivered. April 21, 12 homes are delivered. Execution of phase 2 and 3 for a total of 25 homes delivered by April 2021. Corviale 4th floor. 4th floor and Lazio region intervention. Decay situation. Cylinders, not as requested by the law. Present in many homes, a potential and constant danger, possible explosions. Illegal connections, a danger for security, besides being a crime. Stability, demolition and construction of leading walls. When lacking authorization, they constitute a structural complication. Hygiene, locals with absence of adequate ventilation become unhealthy and dangerous to health. Security, closure or limitation of communal parts accesses and entrances. Ladders, limited escapes.
Corviale 4th floor, the project, 1/4. The project, 103 homes, 10 realization phases, in 5 years. Phase 0, 6 months. Building restructuring with a change in usage destination of singular non-residential locals situated on floor 3, 4 and 5. Floor 5 is a free floor in the ERP building in Corviale. The intervention foresees the transformation of occupied non-residential locals in homes. First 15 homes of phase 0 have been temporarily transferred and first homes of this phase will be delivered in 6 months. Corviale 4th floor, the project, 2/4. Ante-operam, post-operam. Work achieved. Administrative verifications and record of delinquency calculus. Establishment of interinstitutional group. Individual meetings and listening of critical issues brought by each nucleus. Individuation of appropriate homes for temporary permanence. Relocation and temporary transfer to temporary homes. Assessment of last documentation by building firms. Establishment of guarding 24 hours to secure building sites. Signature of contracts and delivery minutes. Corviale fourth floor, the project, 2/4. Corviale fourth floor, the project, 3/4. New homes, dimensioning and subdivision criteria. 103 homes are organized in three typologies to answer to the new living needs, which foresee square footage inferior to the ones planned in the initial project, still safeguarding the recovery of communal spaces and condominium rooms, to the architectural constraints of the building. Corviale fourth floor, the project, 4/4, anti-opera, post-opera, and shared spaces. A green plan will be realized and will be characterized by the green color, with arboreal lodges and grates with vines with a great visible impact, recovering decorum to the plan and communicating a sense of recognition about the new intervention compared to the old building.